Hello, hello, beautiful mindful drinking community. Welcome to the Mindful Drinking Movement podcast. I'm your host, Jess Betancourt, a hypnotherapist and a life coach, former wino, who I created this podcast to help you navigate your way through, I'll just loosely call it a drinking addiction or drinking habits that feel not in alignment for you, or to support you if you're having realizations and epiphanies that you'd rather be drinking less or not at all, and you know deep in your knowing that that would really, really benefit you, and yet you can't seem to be able to find the community perhaps, or the content or the support to help you get to the other side of things. That is what I'm here for, is to help you do that, to offer you some solace, some support, some camaraderie in navigating those waters that are not really, they're becoming more and more mainstream. There's a lot more awareness and visibility on drinking disorders in general that is coming into more common conversation. And of course, the algorithms targeted me for all of those things, so I just see a ton of it all the time. But it's exciting. It's an exciting waking up of coming out from under this cultural norm that we've been immersed in, that drinking is necessary for enjoying life. That's really the myth that I'm here to break apart and help dissect, because I lived under that myth for a long, long time, and there was just so much pain, unnecessary pain and unnecessary comfort involved in believing that and buying into that story. So hence this podcast, and hence my programs, and why I choose to work with people in this manner, because when you do disentangle yourself from believing that you need drinking to feel fulfilled, you really feel so different. You feel so much more aligned with who you want to be, with who you know that you really are. You do away with the self-sabotaging or harmful habit maintaining that is having you feel like you're missing out on something, or that you're spending too much time feeling hungover or anxious, or noticing all sorts of other various things that are occurring that wouldn't be occurring if you weren't drinking the way that you were. This is really just an awakening. It's an awakening to something needs to change. Something's got to give. And then how do you create that change? How do you move forward and get to the other side of things? That's what this whole conversation is about. Today's episode is specifically about sobriety and using that label and that term. And I want to preface all of this by saying that to call oneself sober and to belong to the abstinence of alcohol community is badass. It's amazing. It's a really profound thing to happen in someone's life. And I think that because the sober, like the very, very, the 100% sober community, I think has had more visibility and more traction on this journey than, say, the mindful drinking crowd, which is, I think I belong to that crowd and that community. It's like, I don't want to drink all the time. I've learned how to not do that. And yet I don't make absolute statements or definitive statements about that I will never drink again, or that I don't drink, because that is just not true for me. And I'm making this podcast in particular because if you ascribe to wanting something different with your drinking habits, but you're not in pursuit of sobriety, or you just don't feel that that is a good fit for you at this time, or maybe it will be, you don't necessarily want to have that label for yourself, then I really I want people to know and understand and be invited to the possibility that there's so many other options. We don't have to have these definitive labels unless we want them. And I think for some people, it is really important to have that label for safety and for, reaching that milestone in one's life. I think it's very, very important for some people. But they want that and they need that and they thrive on that and they totally identify with that. And because that's such a strong, there's this really strong culture around that, I think that some other people can kind of feel lost or feel like that they don't belong to a community or a group because they don't have that sort of definitive label that is really powerful. I mean, if you're going to use that label, then you're not someone who casually will go drink at a wedding sometime and then come back and forth. I think there's a stronger dynamic to calling oneself sober that I think should be respected and it shouldn't be thrown around. But if you are in that kind of if you're a gray area drinker and now you're going for gray area mindfulness, it wouldn't really make sense to have to feel like you need one label or the other. Can't it be that you're just curious? Can't it be that you're just investigating and trying things on and experimenting and asking yourself really important questions about the reasons why you're drinking at any moment when you decide to have a drink? I think that this is also a really meaningful way to go forward and to get to know oneself and to create healing. I don't think it has to be this really strong line in the sand for everybody. For myself, it has not been. A few years into this work for myself and working with other people on this exact same issue, I'm really at a place where I just don't care to drink. And in fact, when I do even try to have a little, I get a headache and I just immediately am like, no, had that sip or had that drink, but this isn't really doing it for me. And I feel okay about that. And I think that there's lots of other people, and maybe you're one of them, who is just still in this really experimental phase of what is the volume and the consistency that you feel is in alignment with who you are right now at this time in life. For some people, it doesn't feel like it makes sense to say that they're not going to drink it all ever. Because then if they do, then they would feel like they were failing in some way or something was wrong with them. But I think it's really just an adventure in one's own mind and one's own personality, one's own soul journey in life to go the path of healing, but also of minimization at the same time, and to see what works for you. Is the best amount of alcohol no alcohol? Yes, that is for sure factually based, the healthiest. Is it the best? I don't know. I mean, that's kind of that's a relative word, right? Is it what is right for everyone? I don't know. I mean, what is right for you? I think we need to allow people to have their individuality come into play when we're working with this mass movement of people healing from alcohol addictions, and to kind of gracefully allow for some wiggle room and some leniency, and not to have a label attached to your own personal style of how you choose to drink or not, unless you want it. Some people I work with, for example, they have voiced that other people are uncomfortable with them not engaging as much as they used to when they're out drinking socially or ordering a non-alcoholic beverage in a restaurant or something like that. They have expressed that it is making other people uncomfortable, and that other people have asked, okay, well, what are you now? What is this? Because some people are more comfortable when they can identify and name and label something. So to have it be unlabeled and to have it be kind of the journey of healing from alcohol, to have it be fluid and moving and changing, while at the same time, hopefully, consistently moving towards the betterment of one's life, improved habits, moving in an elevated and an evolving way. although that's not necessarily headed towards or immediate sobriety, I think is also a valuable path. So that's why I wanted to make this podcast addressing this theme today. For those of you who are wondering, is there support for me? Is there a place for me if I'm not necessarily interested in being sober, at least not right now, or I don't know if ever? Yes, there's a place for you. And that place is the journey of your own life, and to own it and to take pride in it and create value around what you're doing. Because if you are someone who is even just minimizing your alcohol intake from a consistent pattern of what it used to be, you are making improvements. You're making improvements in your life. And don't let people take that away from you. Be strong in your own conviction of what it is that you want. This also goes the other way, right? It can be used on the other side too, for people who are not necessarily applying sober pressure, but who are applying some sort of pressure of that they want you to drink the way that they used to, or they want you to drink the way that they are, because that makes people comfortable. And I'll tell you what, though, this whole thing is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. Growth is uncomfortable. Having other people witness your evolution and then wanting an explanation for it or commentary on it, that's uncomfortable. But without discomfort, we don't have growth. So if it's uncomfortable, it's working. Something's working for you if you're uncomfortable. You are in a metamorphosis. You are on the path to change. If you are uncomfortable, take that as a positive sign that shifts are happening and change is happening for you. That is all for me today. If you are wanting more framework, more structure, more how to move through changing your mindset around drinking and going from having quote, quote, automatic habits around drinking and whatever that looks like for you, and you're looking for the other side of that, or just something better, a way to feel better and how to bring your drinking down in a way that doesn't require you to do typical moderation methods, for example, counting and measuring your drinks and putting limitations on yourself. That is why I offer Mindful Drinking Mastery. It is a course that you can use specifically for your own goals. So if your goals are to just drink less overall, this will work for you. If your goals are just to drink on the weekends or on special occasions, this will work for you. If you don't want to be drinking during the week, or you want to stop at 2 drinks, this will work for you. So the way I've designed it is that you can take the material and apply it to your own life and customize it so you can get the results exactly as you want them without having to declare any sort of label around yourself. It's private, it's personal, it's powerful, it really works. And I would be so excited to welcome you inside of that program. The link is there in the show notes. You can also message me over Instagram if you have any questions. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll be back next week.